Have you ever stood in the middle of chaos and felt heaven whisper, "Be still"? For 30 seconds, imagine that your world is collapsing, dreams delayed, prayers unanswered, hearts breaking, and yet within you there is no fear, no panic, no trembling, only peace. This is not the peace of ignorance. It is the peace of revelation. It is the moment when heaven takes over your heart and the noise of the earth loses its authority over your soul. Everything changes when heaven becomes more real to you than what your eyes can see. My beloved, there was a man who once walked through the valley of failure. Everything he built seemed to crumble. Everyone he trusted seemed to disappear. He cried out, "Lord, why have you abandoned me?" But heaven was silent. Until one day, a voice rose within him, not from the clouds above, but from the Spirit within. I never left you. You were too attached to what was temporary to hear what was eternal." In that moment, the man learned that losing everything on earth is not the end. It is often the beginning of hearing heaven clearly. And spiritual detachment is not a withdrawal from life, it is a return to divine order. When you are attached to opinions, outcomes, or recognition, you become a slave to what changes. But when your heart belongs to eternity, the shifting winds of this world cannot move you. You walk through storms with unshakable peace because your foundation is not built on sand. It is built on the rock of revelation. Do you know why some people lose their joy so easily? Because their peace is rented. It depends on circumstances. But those who are rooted in heaven carry an ownership peace. They can smile through tears, worship through loss, and stand tall in betrayal because they have discovered that nothing external can touch what is internal when the Spirit reigns supreme. When you are truly detached, you begin to live from within, not from without. The opinions of others lose their power. Failure no longer defines you. Even success cannot intoxicate you. You are no longer moved by what you see because what you know is stronger than what you feel. The spiritual man is not swayed by emotion, he is led by revelation. And revelation is born in stillness. The stillness that only detachment can create. Many people pray for strength, but heaven often answers by detaching them from what weakens them. You may lose a relationship, a position, or a dream, and think heaven has forgotten you. But hear this, sometimes God subtracts to multiply. He detaches you from the lesser so He can entrust you with the greater. Every time you let go of something temporal, you make room for something eternal. Detachment is not escape, it is engagement from a higher place. It means you can walk into a room of conflict and carry calmness. You can face uncertainty and still speak faith. You can be surrounded by fear and still project peace. This is the atmosphere of heaven flowing through a human vessel. The detached soul becomes the bridge between heaven and earth. When you learn to release what you cannot control, heaven releases what was meant for you all along. You stop chasing outcomes and start manifesting presence. You stop demanding answers and start hearing truth. And suddenly, you realize you were never meant to carry the world. The world was meant to witness heaven through you. So let the storms come. Let people misunderstand. Let things shift. You are not here to be shaken. You are here to reveal stillness. The moment you detach from the noise of life, you begin to hear the music of eternity. And that is when everything changes. Heaven becomes your reality and peace becomes your power. Detachment is not indifference, it is divine mastery over emotion. When people hear the word detachment, they imagine a heart that no longer feels, a soul that has turned to stone. But that is not the truth. Detachment is not the absence of emotion. It is the purification of it. It is when love is no longer bound by fear, when peace is no longer stolen by disappointment, and when joy no longer depends on outcome. Detachment is the art of seeing the world through heaven's eyes while walking upon the dust of the earth. It is the mastery of emotion through the power of divine awareness. When you learn to detach, you do not lose compassion, you gain clarity. You do not stop caring, you start caring with wisdom. You are no longer ruled by the waves of emotion, you become the calm beneath them. The most powerful souls are not those who never feel pain, they are the ones who have learned not to be enslaved by it. They can cry and still move forward, they can be disappointed and still remain faithful. They can be betrayed and still love without bitterness. This is mastery, this is divine strength. To master emotion is not to suppress it, it is to sanctify it. When you are attached to every reaction, your peace becomes fragile. But when you are detached to revelation, your peace becomes unshakable. You begin to understand that not every storm is sent to destroy you. Some storms come to reveal the depth of your stillness. The human heart is a sacred temple, but it becomes defiled when emotions rule it instead of spirit. Every time anger takes over, every time anxiety dictates your decisions, every time fear whispers louder than faith, you are surrendering your throne to the temporary. Detachment restores that throne to divine order. It is the silent declaration, my spirit leads, my emotions follow. When this alignment is restored, even your feelings begin to heal. They no longer scream with confusion, they sing with harmony. You feel more deeply, not less. You love more purely, not weaker. You forgive faster, not slower, because detachment does not kill emotion, it resurrects it in truth. You see, attachment blinds the soul. When you are attached to how people see you, you lose sight of who you truly are. When you are attached to outcomes, you stop hearing divine direction. When you are attached to comfort, you resist transformation. But when you let go, when you release your grip on what you cannot control, you finally make space for heaven to move. The Spirit cannot fill a clenched hand. Only when your hands are open can the divine pour into them. And when it does, everything begins to change. The same situations that once tormented you no longer have power. The same people that once provoked you can no longer steal your joy. The same delays that once made you anxious now train your patience. Detachment transforms pain into instruction. There is a holy balance between feeling and faith. Detachment is the bridge between them. It allows you to feel without drowning, to care without losing yourself, to walk through darkness without absorbing it. It teaches you to be fully human yet completely anchored in the divine. When Jesus stood before the storm and said, "Peace, be still," the wind obeyed because he was still within. That stillness was not emotional numbness. It was spiritual authority. You too are called to speak peace not only to the waves around you, but to the waves within you. You cannot command storms if you are still enslaved to your own winds of emotion. The calm within you must precede the calm around you. In life, you will encounter moments that test your detachment. Times when people betray your kindness, when doors close without explanation, when prayers seem unanswered. Do not see these as punishments, see them as divine classrooms. Every disappointment invites you to practice mastery. Every heartbreak challenges your attachment. Every loss asks, will you trust the unseen? And when you do, when you choose peace over panic, surrender over struggle, stillness over reaction, heaven begins to manifest its reality in your inner world. The world may remain chaotic, but within you, a kingdom is forming. A kingdom where emotions bow before revelation, where fear bows before faith, and where love rules above all. Detachment is not running from life. It is standing in life without being shaken by it. It is walking through fire and knowing the flames cannot consume what is eternal. It is living among people yet remaining rooted in God. It is hearing noise all around but keeping your soul tuned to heaven's melody. This is divine mastery, the point where emotion becomes servant, not master. You still feel, but you are no longer owned by what you feel. You still love, but you no longer suffer because of who cannot return it. You still hope, but your hope is no longer fragile. It is anchored in eternity. When your emotions serve your spirit, you begin to live above circumstance. You start responding instead of reacting. You begin to choose peace instead of panic. This is where true power lives. A detached heart is not a cold heart. It is a heart burning with heaven's fire, untouched by the winds of this world. It is the heart that carries peace into war, light into darkness, and stillness into confusion. When you reach that place, you have not escaped emotion. You have redeemed it. You have not become indifferent. You have become divine. Heaven is not only a destination. It is a condition of the soul. Too often people think of heaven as a place they will reach one day when life is over, a distant land beyond the clouds. But heaven was never meant to be a faraway dream. It was meant to be a present reality. Heaven is not only where you go, it is what you carry. It is a dimension of peace, purity, and presence that begins within the human spirit. When the heart is aligned with divine truth, the atmosphere of heaven begins to manifest around you. You can live on earth while breathing heaven's air. You can walk through storms while your soul remains in still waters. This is the mystery of divine life. The ability to host heaven in the midst of earth's chaos. Heaven begins when your heart stops reacting to the temporary and starts resting in the eternal. When what happens outside no longer disturbs what lives inside, you have entered the gates of heaven. The soul that has been freed from anxiety, pride, comparison, and fear begins to vibrate at a divine frequency. It becomes a dwelling place of peace, a temple of light. The kingdom of heaven, as it was said, is within you. Not in your possessions, not in your circumstances, not in your status, but within the quiet chamber of your spirit. When that kingdom rules your inner world, your outer world cannot enslave you anymore. Many seek heaven after death, but few realize it is available before it. Heaven is the awareness of God's presence so deep that no shadow can remain. It is the light that shines even when life feels dark. It is the calm that whispers, all is well, when everything appears broken. Heaven is not the absence of problems. It is the presence of divine perspective. The soul that has entered heaven's condition can walk through betrayal and still bless, face rejection and still forgive, lose everything and still be rich in faith. Because heaven is not built on circumstance, it is sustained by revelation. There was once a man who suffered greatly. His body was weak, his finances were gone, his friends had disappeared. He prayed for deliverance, but the heavens seemed closed. Yet, one night as he sat in silence, he felt an overwhelming peace that made no sense. It was not joy because of change. It was joy despite no change. It was not comfort from people. It was comfort from presence. In that sacred moment, heaven touched earth through the stillness of his soul. From that day forward, his situation did not define him. He carried heaven within him, and wherever he went, people felt it. He spoke softly, but his words carried power. He smiled through pain, and his peace became contagious. That is what heaven does. It transforms the human into a living temple of divine presence. When heaven rules your heart, fear loses its grip. You stop being afraid of loss because you realize nothing eternal can ever be taken from you. You stop chasing approval because you are already accepted by the Eternal One. You stop fighting to be understood because your identity is rooted in divine understanding. Heaven is where striving ends and surrender begins. It is where anxiety dissolves into trust and doubt melts into clarity. You become aware that life is not happening to you, it is happening for you, shaping your soul into the image of eternity. People pray, Lord, bring me to heaven, but heaven often whispers, let me come through you. The kingdom is not reached by travel, it is revealed by transformation. Every act of forgiveness opens its gate wider. Every moment of gratitude builds its foundation deeper. Every surrender to love expands its territory within you. Heaven is not beyond the stars. It is born in your spirit the moment you let go of what is not divine. When your heart becomes heaven's home, your perspective changes completely. You stop measuring success by results and start measuring it by peace. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start saying, what is heaven teaching me through this? You realize that even pain has purpose when filtered through divine awareness. Suffering loses its sting because you see it as a passageway, not a prison. You become aware that every tear waters the seeds of revelation. You begin to sense that the true reward is not what you gain, it is who you become. Heavenly living is not escaping reality, it is redeeming it. It is walking in the same world as everyone else, but perceiving it through different eyes. Where others see obstacles, you see opportunities. Where others see endings, you see beginnings. Where others see despair, you see divine design. Heaven transforms perception before it transforms circumstance. That is why those who live in heaven's awareness radiate peace wherever they go. Their presence changes rooms. Their words heal hearts. Their silence carries strength. When your soul abides in heaven, time no longer rules you. You stop being restless about the future or regretful about the past. You begin to live in the eternal now, the holy moment where God is always present. That is the rhythm of heaven. No hurry, no fear, no scarcity, no striving, just divine flow, divine trust, divine being. And when you touch that place, even for a moment, you will know you were never meant to wait for heaven. You were meant to reveal it. Heaven is not distant. It is within you, waiting to be awakened, ready to reign. Attachment gives birth to fear. Detachment gives birth to faith. Every fear that rises within the human heart is born from attachment. Attachment to comfort, to control, to reputation, to the illusion of certainty. When we cling to what is temporary, we begin to fear its loss. But when we release our grip, when we allow the Spirit to rule what the flesh tries to hold, faith is born. Fear is the fruit of holding too tightly. Faith is the fruit of letting go. The moment you loosen your hold on what you cannot control, heaven begins to move freely in your life. Fear binds, but faith releases. Fear says, what if I lose it? Faith says, even if I do, God remains. Many people think faith is the absence of fear, but true faith is the mastery of fear. It is not that fear never whispers, it's that it no longer commands. You may still hear the voice of worry, but you no longer bow to it. The heart of faith is not found in pretending everything is certain. It is found in trusting when nothing is. It is not born in moments of safety. It is forged in moments of surrender. When Abraham left his homeland not knowing where he was going, faith was born from detachment. When he lifted the knife over his promised son, faith reached perfection. Not because he was emotionless, but because he trusted more than he trembled. The more you are attached to outcomes, the more you invite fear into your spirit. You begin to measure your peace by what you possess, your confidence by what others think, your worth by what you achieve. He expected God to remove all fear from his heart, but instead, life brought storms. His plans collapsed, his friends betrayed him, and his strength faded. He asked, "Lord, why do you test me?" And heaven answered, "Because you asked for courage." Courage cannot exist without the presence of fear, but it grows only when you choose faith in the midst of it. That day, he learned the sacred paradox. Faith is not the denial of fear. It is the dethroning of it. It is the moment when fear still speaks but no longer decides. To live by faith is to dwell in divine assurance while walking through human uncertainty. It is knowing that your life is not random, your pain is not wasted, your path is not abandoned. It is trusting that every detour is still within the design of destiny. When your attachment to outcomes dissolves, you begin to perceive divine orchestration in every circumstance. What once looked like loss now appears as liberation. What once felt like rejection now feels like redirection. Detachment does not kill desire, it purifies it. You stop chasing what glitters and start seeking what glows with eternity. Fear is loud because it speaks to your flesh. Faith is quiet because it speaks to your spirit. Fear demands proof. Faith rests in promise. Fear looks at circumstances. Faith looks at revelation. When you detach from what fear clings to, control, approval, possession, you step into a peace that passes understanding. You realize that your strength was never in how tightly you could hold things together. It was in how fully you could trust when everything fell apart. Faith is not born in comfort. That calmness is not weakness. It is divine power under control. It is the manifestation of a heart so rooted in eternity that nothing temporal can uproot it. Every day, life will test the authority of your inner peace. Someone will offend you, something will fail you, some season will confuse you. These are not punishments, they are divine instruments sent to reveal what rules within you. If emotion rules, you will be shaken. If ego rules, you will fight. If fear rules, you will flee. But if spirit rules, you will stand still. True authority begins in stillness. It is the capacity to look at the same mountain others fear and say, "Be moved," without trembling. This power is not human, it is divine. It is heaven's stability expressed through a human soul. Authority is not demanded, it is demonstrated. People who carry inner authority do not need to prove it. Their peace proves it. Their presence commands it. You can walk into a room full of anxiety, yet if heaven truly reigns within you, the atmosphere will change before you speak. The energy of peace is stronger than the noise of panic. This is why those who live from within do not strive to influence. They simply become the vessel through which heaven influences the world. When you master the storms inside, even the storms outside begin to recognize you. Many people confuse control with authority. Control comes from insecurity, authority comes from identity. Control says, "I must make things happen." Authority says, "I trust what is meant to happen." Control is anxious and forceful. Authority is quiet and assured. These attachments build invisible chains around your soul. And with every chain, fear grows stronger. The fear of rejection, the fear of failure, the fear of losing control. These are the children of attachment. But the moment you realize that everything you hold in your hand is borrowed, you stop clutching and start trusting. You understand that the one who gave it can restore it, and the one who removes it still remains faithful. Faith begins where attachment ends. You cannot walk on water while holding on to the boat. You cannot soar while clinging to the ground. To walk in divine faith, you must release what anchors you to fear. Faith requires open hands, empty, trembling, but surrendered. Detachment is not about losing interest in life. It is about gaining confidence in divine order. It is saying, I don't have to control everything because I trust the one who controls all. It is not passive resignation. It is active trust. When you detach, fear loses its reason to exist. It has no soil to grow in because fear only thrives where there is possession. The one who owns nothing in their spirit fears nothing in their future. When your heart is free, your peace becomes invincible. That is why the saints, the mystics, the spiritual giants of every age could walk through pain without losing faith. They had detached from what fear could touch. They understood that no loss could take away their essence. No failure could erase their purpose. No rejection could silence their truth. Their faith was not in outcomes, it was in presence. There was once a young believer who prayed for courage. It grows in the soil of surrender. Every great leap of faith is preceded by a great release of attachment. The moment you stop depending on what you see, you begin to depend on what you know. That knowing is the essence of faith. It is the awareness that the unseen is more real than the visible, that the eternal is stronger than the temporal. Detachment gives you eyes to see from heaven's perspective. You begin to perceive that even when you walk through the valley, there is purpose in every step. The person who is attached to nothing cannot be broken by anything. That is the mystery of divine strength. When your faith is rooted in God alone, you stop negotiating with fear. You stop asking, what if I lose? Because you realize that nothing truly yours can ever be lost. What is divine remains eternal. And when you live from that place where attachments fall away and trust rises within, you enter a freedom that no fear can inhabit. You become untouchable, unshakable, unstoppable. You walk not as one who is surviving the world, but as one who carries heaven through it. True authority begins when nothing outside you can disturb the peace within you. The greatest power a person can ever carry is not the ability to control others, but the mastery to remain unmoved in the face of storms. Authority is not loud, it is still. It is not aggressive, it is anchored. When your spirit is truly connected to heaven, you no longer react, you respond. You no longer panic, you perceive. The calmness you carry becomes greater than the chaos you face. You can only walk in spiritual authority when your heart has been freed from the need to control outcomes. The moment you realize that divine order governs all things, you stop reacting to appearances and start resting in alignment. The one who knows that heaven's timing never fails no longer rushes fears or doubts. They move with purpose, not panic. When you are easily disturbed, it means your peace is still rented. It belongs to what can be taken away. But when your peace becomes owned, rooted in the eternal, it can no longer be shaken. The authority of peace is not learned through comfort, it is forged through chaos. You discover who you truly are not when everything works, but when nothing does. It is in the breaking that the unbreakable within you is revealed. It is in rejection that you find your real worth. It is in delay that you learn divine timing. Every challenge is a mirror showing you whether your peace is external or internal, conditional or eternal. When your peace depends on people, you will always be vulnerable. When your peace depends on position, it will vanish with circumstance. But When your peace depends on presence, the unshakable presence of the divine within, you walk in authority. The storms may roar, but your spirit stays still. That stillness is not the silence of apathy, it is the silence of mastery. It is the sacred confidence that says, my peace is not for sale, my faith is not negotiable, my joy is not conditional. That kind of stillness intimidates darkness, because darkness thrives in reaction. Every time you choose calmness over chaos, you dethrone the enemy's influence. There is a reason heaven moves through those who are still inside. When Jesus calmed the storm, he did not shout louder than the wind. He simply carried a greater peace within him. The sea obeyed because it recognized its creator. That same principle lives in you. The moment your inner world comes under divine order, your outer world begins to align. Authority flows from alignment. When your thoughts, emotions, and words move in rhythm with heaven, creation listens. You become an ambassador of divine order in a world of confusion. True authority is not about power over others. It is power over self. The one who has conquered his inner storms can lead nations, heal hearts, and restore hope. But the one who has not mastered his emotions will always be enslaved by them, no matter his title. Authority is not given by titles, achievements, or applause. It is granted by heaven to the one who has proven faithful in silence, consistent in trials, and peaceful under pressure. The Spirit trusts the calm soul, because that soul no longer seeks to impress. It seeks to express divine truth. You were never meant to be ruled by circumstance. You are meant to reign through peace. The storms around you will never cease to exist. But when heaven's peace governs your heart, they will lose their power to control you. And when you reach that place where nothing external can disturb what is internal, you have entered the realm of true authority. You speak and things shift. You stand and atmospheres change. You walk and peace follows. Not because you are strong in yourself, but because you have become one with the strength that never shakes. That is the secret of divine authority, the power of unshakable peace within a surrendered soul. When a soul learns to detach from the noise of emotion, when it releases its grip on what cannot last, when it ceases to chase heaven as a faraway dream and begins to live it from within, everything changes. This is where human weakness meets divine power. The heart no longer trembles at loss, the mind no longer bends beneath fear, and the spirit no longer bows to circumstance. You begin to walk with the calmness of eternity flowing through your veins. Nothing can move you because you no longer stand on what shifts. You stand on what is eternal. Detachment becomes not an escape but a revelation. You no longer run from life. You rise above it. You see pain as teacher, storms as purification, silence as sanctuary. You realize that heaven is not something you wait for. It is something you become. It is the peace that walks with you through the valley, the authority that speaks through stillness, the faith that thrives without proof. When the world rages, you remain serene. When others doubt, you still believe. When darkness comes, you carry your own light. The transformation is subtle yet eternal. You stop needing to win every battle because you understand that peace is the greatest victory. You stop clinging to outcomes because you have found the source. You stop fearing change because you live from the unchanging. The kingdom within you begins to reign over the world around you. The same spirit that calmed the storm now calms your heart. And through that heart calms the world. This is the final revelation. To live as one untouched by chaos, yet deeply engaged with love, to move through the earth with heaven's poise, to feel everything yet be mastered by nothing. It is the highest form of strength, the purest expression of faith, the true evidence of heaven alive within a human soul. When you reach this place, you do not just survive, you transform. You do not merely believe, you embody. You do not chase peace, you become peace. And that is when everything truly changes.